covering Macon, Warner Robins, and all of Middle Georgia. Clear, accurate, to the point. This is 41 NBC News at 10 on My 41.2.
Good evening, I'm Tracy Armbruster. A father and son are charged with street gang activity. Bibb County Sheriff's deputies say 41-year-old Cedric Jerome Jackson and his son, 18-year-old Cedric Jared Jackson, were allegedly involved in 2 shooting cases in June. The younger Jackson is believed to be a member of the street gang 1012. Investigators say the gang is tied to several incidents around Freedom Park and Payne City. Some of the charges include multiple counts of aggravated assault and terroristic threats. There will be no raises for Macon Transit Authority drivers. It's all because of the upcoming budget cuts. MTA's general manager says money to operate buses for paratransit riders has been cut in half. Richard Jones and his staff are now trying to find a way to make up for the $300,000 loss. According to Jones, MTA bus drivers make around $10 an hour, while other bus drivers across Georgia get more than $12 an hour. Macon-Bibb County commissioners are scheduled to approve the budget on Tuesday. Meteorologist Marco Lamano is in for Chris Simmons tonight, and he joins us for a first look at our weather forecast. And Marco, summer is here, and it was another hot, rainy day.
Indeed it was. But
all right, thank you, Marco. The Macon-Bibb Fire Department is working to reduce the fatality rate, especially for the senior citizens. 41 NBC's Elaine Brackley has more on a new program that includes businesses chipping in to help. For more information on how your company, civic organization, or group can help the Macon-Bibb Fire Department, visit 41NBC.com. A Dublin woman has filed a civil rights lawsuit against several law enforcement officers. Joyce Ann Tinsley claims she was misidentified and wrongly imprisoned for a forgery suspect. The lawsuit names 3 sheriff's deputies in Lawrence County and 3 police officers in Fulton County. The director of the CDC lab involved in the anthrax incident has been reassigned. A spokesperson for the agency says the team lead of the group that did not follow best practices is no longer in that job while an investigation is underway. Technicians in the Bioterra lab were trying out a new method of killing anthrax before sending it to lower-level security labs. The virus was not completely deactivated, and lab workers in those lower security labs may have been exposed. More than 80 workers are now taking antibiotics as a precaution. Officials say there is no risk to the general public. The first Civil Rights Museum in Atlanta opened today. It highlights the historic and modern struggles for equality. The new center cost $75 million to build. One of the exhibits displays a rare collection of Dr. Martin Luther King's handwritten notes and personal items. The museum is more than a decade in the making. The U.S. Supreme Court rules on a global warming fight. Find out if the Obama administration can legally change the emissions threshold for greenhouse gases. Plus, the Iraqi civil war has the U.S. helping the government fight the Islamic warriors. Those stories and more are still ahead on the News at 10.
This is 41 NBC News at 10 on My 41.2.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was in Baghdad trying to get the Iraqi government to make reforms that its people will unite to fight the Islamic warriors of ISIS. But so far, no luck, and ISIS is winning the sudden civil war. NBC's Steve Handelsman has the latest. According to reports, step 1 for ISIS is to build a base in eastern Syria and western Iraq. And so far, that plan is working. Border agents say they're catching as many as 1,200 to 1,400 migrants a day in the Texas Rio Grande Valley. More on stories from across the nation. It's causing some lawmakers to call this a refugee crisis, not an immigration issue. The illegal immigrants, mostly children, are overfilling the holding facilities. Refugee organizations say deportation is not a solution. The White House is increasing border enforcement and speeding up the removal process. The Obama administration efforts to fight global warming receives a minor setback. The Supreme Court rules the Environmental Protection Agency had overstepped its authority when it changed the emissions threshold for greenhouse gases. According to the 5-4 decision, power plants and other stationary sources of pollution are not required to get permits before building or expanding their facilities. The ruling does not impact the EPA's efforts to cut power plant emissions by 30% before the year 2030. A report shows politics played no role in the child molestation investigation of former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky, but it does blame prosecutors at the time, including Pennsylvania's current governor, for crucial missteps that may have allowed Sandusky to sexually assault at least 2 more victims while he was being investigated. Sandusky was sentenced to 60 years in prison. The former Penn State president and 2 other administrators are awaiting trial on allegations that they misled or lied to the grand jury in the case. Now to stories making headlines around the world. Rebels in Ukraine promised to honor the country's president's ceasefire declaration. They agreed to engage in more talks to help resolve the conflict that left hundreds dead. Insurgents had previously demanded the withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the east as a condition for any talks. Their decision to respect the ceasefire is seen as a softened stance that raises hopes that the ceasefire would hold. Syria hands over its last stockpile of chemical weapons that the country's government admitted to having. It includes mustard gas and materials to make sarin gas. In Cyprus, the head of the special UN mission says the weapons will not be destroyed by the initial deadline. An investigation found evidence that chlorine gas had been used as a weapon in the fighting between rebels and the Syrian government. Marco, how's the weather?
The weather was...
During the worst of the down economy and the mortgage meltdown, hundreds of thousands of Americans lost their homes to foreclosure. As CNBC's Diana Olick reports, now that the economy and the housing market is picking back up, even those who lost their homes can become homeowners again. Now to more consumer news. Bank of America rolls out new incentives. Members of the new Preferred Rewards programs can now qualify for lower rates on mortgages and home equity loans, higher interest rates on savings accounts, and free stock trades. The bank is also lowering the minimum account balance required to earn the benefits.
And tomorrow. So interesting deal there. But on the bright side, it keeps temperatures down. I mean, a lot of us were in the 70s this afternoon. Very hard to get heat exhaustion when it's 72 and you have water with you.
That's the deal. I feel like we're a broken record. Keep the umbrella in the car and you can maybe stay dry.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching us tonight at the News at 10. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Have a great night.